Hello.
Hello, good morning. How's it going?
Oh, it's going all right.
That's good, that's good. How's everybody doing? Hey, Richard.
Hi everybody.
Hey,
Hi
Sarah.
Tata. How are you?
I'm doing all right, doing okay.
Big paper.
Oh, nice. Now you're going big time. How big is that?
I don't know.
Nice.
The roll I found and I cut a square of it.
Here's the one I did. It's a 15 by 15. It was good enough, you know?
I saw 15 by 15 and I thought, do you mean centimeters or inches?
No, centimeters, of course.
I thought inches.
Yeah. Nice. It's so big, man. This must be about like 40, easy, 40 centimeters, easy.
National Security Advisor at the time got look at John Bolton.
So we're gonna do this one in order to do this. This is gonna be the idea. So, full confession. Last class, the one we did last time, it wasn't right. That's the reason why the petals and the channels weren't working. It was the wrong way of looking at the thing. Because this star over here does not actually hit this line. This intersection of radial lines here is not where this star lands. Actually, this star doesn't have any landing sites on any of the radial lines. So, fun fact. It might look it, but it's not supposed to. So we're not gonna think about it like that. We're trying not to avoid this star actually matching, but it's gonna be so millimetric, so small, this change, that it might look it, but try not to
يلا
think about
نروح
it too
هلا.
much. That's the idea, at least. And what else? I'm just gonna give it maybe like 2 minutes.
Hello.
Hello. Hey, Bridget. I'm drinking some tea. All right, so first steps first. So we're gonna need a square piece of paper first. That's gonna be the big thing. Oh, that's a piece of paper. So yeah, putting the small edge over the long edge. So in order for me to know that I did it wrong, I had to run it through AutoCAD. So what I did was I ran the design on AutoCAD, and as I connected and weaved the channels, I noticed that the bouncing light had this property of not matching with itself. So therefore, there had to be a mistake. And in order to solve for it, I pretty much just found the midpoint of those mismatches. And that gave me the solution. But then it was about
Does
finding
it
the
seem
full.
obvious now, your error?
It seems rather obvious. It seems obvious because it was too easy. That should have been the big
Right.
clue. It can't be that easy.
So it's quite hard then.
No, but it's not as I want to say intuitive. It has more levels to it than simply, oh yeah, just put the star there. No, it has this other level of complexity to it. What's
Okay.
cool though is that there's still something that is very much natural to the folds. So even though it's more complex or seems so, there's still a very natural relationship there. So what I also found while folding it is that it's better not to do the thing we usually do with the making the different like turning the paper over. So right now, as you're going to see, I'm not going to turn the paper over at all. No radial lines are going to be opposites. And see, what that allows us is that all the radial lines can be then used as mirrors. So we fold the radial lines in one sense, and then we fold the pattern lines in the other. And so that's way better, I find. So this is also a recent discovery. So usually I would be very insistent on getting the opposites right from the get-go. But no, it's better to just like not even turn it over. So let me just get a pencil for me to draw in. All right. So we're going to do this exact same thing, but on both. Hey, Amy. So here's how 16 fold works. So we got these two down, right? Now, basically what we're going to do is we're going to take this bottom edge, and we're going to put it on one of the folds we just did, this one right here. As you can see, this line is also matching to itself. That also could be a reference we use. So that's one. That's a two. Just making sure that it's actually there at the corner. Everything else seems to be matching. And well, we can also fold this one down here because we're gonna need the 16 fold, right? So because we're only building a quarter of it, we're not gonna have to do this on all four corners, just two opposite corners. So before I start writing it down, like actually drawing it in, I'm gonna do the one on the opposite so that I only draw in the intersections. I'm also missing this one. So, all right, so I got 16 fold in one corner. Now I gotta put it on the opposite corner. So same thing. I'm gonna try to move the paper as little as possible. I'm trying this new setup with the tripod, so my hand is actually going underneath the tripod, this right hand over here. Also, my burns are looking a little bit better, although my skin is falling off, but that's all right. you know, as my skin gets better, I sort of feel that I missed a chance to take pictures because at one point I actually had boils on my skin, like all over my arms. And now they're gone. And it's like I kind of miss them now. Because honestly, when is going to be the next time that I burned myself to the 2nd degree with the sun?
Hopefully never. That's
Right.
bad for you. Wear sunscreen.
Exactly. So it's exactly. So it was a one-off chance, and now it's gone. But well, I got my memories.
How did you get burned?
I went on a hike to the higher points in this side of Mexico. I think it's not a higher point. It's one of the higher points in my state. It's 3,000 meters above sea level. But we started the hike at about 1,600 meters. So we went up 1,400 meters. But the thing was, it was not a cloud in the sky, very sunny day. And one of the people that was hiking with us hurt his knees. Like both his knees got hurt on the way down. So a 7-hour hike turned into a 13-hour hike.
So you got sunburned?
Got sunburned, that's correct, yes.
My goodness.
Really bad sunburn. But I thought it was going to be worse. Like a part of me, but I went a little bit too hard on it. But at one point I had to take off my shirt and put it around my neck because my neck was just, I was killing me. And even though my chest and my abdomen was only exposed for like maybe 4 or 5 hours, it still got a little tan. But, you know, no. Other than the skin chafing and the boils, seems to be that, you know, everything seems to be okay. My nose was also going through some changes, but now it's all good. I think you can sort of see on the camera that my skin is a little bit red there. It is fine. Global warming is real. Awesome. So now I have all my lines in my 16-fold, but you can't see any of them because of the light. So I'm just going to do the other diagonal. Yeah. So the diagonal that crosses through them in the middle. And this is just as a guiding point, but also useful. You're going to see exactly how, but this is going to be also useful for me drawing in these intersections. Because now it's going to be 3 intersections. So it's going to be a little bit easier to see. So I'm just going to draw these in real quick. Now this pattern is dependent on the interaction between 16 and 8. And so we're going to actually be needing the 8-fold divisions at a particular intersection, which are going to be very important actually to the overall pattern. Like to the channels, to finding what we call the channels, right? What is traditionally called calles, which translates to street. At least that's how it was taught to me when I learned this. Calles. So because it's in Spanish, I guess it's supposed, like it's maybe more tied to the Moorish tradition. The people that conquered Spain. I think they started in the 8th century. I think in the 8th, that's when they started and then just kept on going. I was actually talking about this with some friends yesterday. And I think it's something to take into account about the Alhambra is that it was the last stronghold of the Moorish Islamic conquest of Europe. So it was conquered in the 15th century, in 1400 and something. Right, that was like the year it got conquered back by the Spanish. but the place before that was Cordoba, and Cordoba was conquered in 1200. So there was 200 years, 2 centuries, that it was the last, that it was like the last place where they were residing. For 200 years they stayed there. So for 200 years they knew that it was like, it was a done deal. It's just a matter of time. So the eightfold division is going to be here and here. So the advantage is that we have several diagonal lines and several lines within the space of the paper that are going to help us with, just to be clear, it's going to be here and here over here. These two. So what I do for it is that I'm going to have to draw these, extended these, just to be clear. People tell me that I go a little bit too fast, so today I'm going to be changing up the pace and go slow. Taking it easy. So this intersection is actually part of an eightfold division. We have the 40, what we call the 45-degree rhumb here, also the pi/4 rhumb, and so therefore these lines that extend beyond each other are part of the eightfold division, which means that the lines that we're looking for are going to be between these lines. So we just got to bisect several times around these lines, and then we're going to get it. But we need to apply the eightfold complete division on these 2 points. So first point I'm going to do is I'm going to raise up here. I'm going to bring down. So notice, it is not arriving at this, not there. Okay, so don't aim at there. Rather aim better for this line to fall on itself. So I'm just going to turn it over just to draw on the back. I'm drawing on the back here just so you guys can get a clearer picture of what's happening, or what I mean by lines matching. So it's the same fold, but I'm just drawing it on the other side because when I fold, of course, the line is coming in. So see, this line that I drew in is the same line. So what I'm doing is I'm just making sure that it matches with itself. Like there and over there. You see? This line is the extension of this one. And this line over here, from this point outwards, is the extension of this one. So this is matching over to this, and this one over to this. I wish there was.
Does it go through the bottom point that you've marked in pencil?
Excuse me?
If you open it back out.
Yeah.
Does it go through that point that you've marked, that intersection? Yeah, that one. Does it actually go through that? Yeah.
Yeah, that's the idea. We want to divide this point into an eightfold division. So that's yeah. So all the lines that we're missing right now have to go through this point. So now the other several ones that we're going to need, because it's an eightfold, it's actually going to relate to the square. So one of the lines, well, two of the lines, one of them is going to come down towards here and be a right angle. So it's going to come down from that point and be a right angle. And this one actually has a nice relationship. So we're going to bring it down and we're going to see where exactly this relationship is. Do you see how the corners are matching to the divisions? Over on the top there and over at the bottom here. Actually, it's more the top than the bottom, but yeah. Just make sure that it goes through the point. Now again, I'm not drawing in the whole line. I'm just drawing to the radial, the center diagonal. So that's one of them. Now the other one. Now, because of the same like idea, notice here, this line is also falling on itself. It goes from the point and then matches to this diagonal here. I think this line actually might be useful for me to draw in, so I'm going to draw it in. So yeah, this division actually has a line fall on this line. So all the lines, because we're folding from the center, several lines are gonna sort of fall on each other, right? Because they're intersecting. I don't know how to explain it, but it's one of those simple, deep things where it's very simple, but it's very deep. Because it's true. So see, for instance, here, what I'm missing is the bisection of these two now. I'm missing this bisection and this bisection. And of course, it's going to extend and it's going to extend. So the way I do it is that I notice where these lines are going to extend, right? So I make sure that they fall on each other. So for instance, this line is going to fall on itself. I can see that, right? Because it's going to be a perpendicular line. So this line is falling on itself. And we actually have a nice relationship up in there. Can you see the corner falling in over here? On this division? This corner over here.
No, I can't seem to get that.
So this is a landing site right here.
Oh, okay. No. No, I still can't get it. Oh.
So this landing site for this one.
Okay, just we do both, right?
Yes, you have to do both in order for
Where's this
the April to complete. Also notice how like I fold it, but I'm then also like pushing it and pivoting it to try to get it to be as exact as possible. To try to get it to be as going through the center as much as I can make it. I have this pencil that I was gifted in Seattle. Has a lyric by the Notorious B.I.G. It says, "It was all a dream. I used to read up Word Up magazine." From the song Juicy. How you doing, Richard? Oh, look at that. So see, Richard there has an advantage. Because of his bigger paper, he's able to see a little bit better like where the relationships are falling. And also he's going to be able to see better if a mistake is made. Whereas for us, mere mortals are using just simple civilized paper. You know, we gotta rely on either some falling in or falling out of the symmetry in order to make sense of the world. We gotta trust our instincts. So now we're gonna do the same thing, but on the other side. So we're gonna need both 8 folds. Now these lines mostly just work for us in order, well, these will guide us. So these lines we're putting in are going to inform the mirrors. So all these lines are gonna be mirrors pretty much. Some way or another. Now it's cool is that you get to choose which mirror you want to use. So you don't have to use the same mirror as I do. I mean, we're going to, like, if you want to follow me, of course, that's the idea. But, you know, if you ever fold this again, you may find some other solutions. Well, I'm going to teach you one solution. The idea is that there's not just one solution, but many.
Is this a new fold?
I'm pretty much just doing the same thing, but on this side now. So this is this one.
Right.
So again, I'm just really pivoting and putting everything in where it can be, should be. See here, for instance, there are several lines that have two overlaps. Now, this is the last of my fold, of the 8th fold. And so you're going to see, for instance, this line falls on itself, 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 etc. So all these lines are coinciding, but that's because they have the same center. So this is where we're at. I'm just gonna give you a minute to catch up, and I'm not gonna do nothing crazy. Not this time, no more. I'm gonna look at the chat. Shashi Jane says hello. Amy Boone says so excited to be here. Oh, that was 20 minutes ago. So while you guys finish up your 16 and your 8s, well, your 8s rather, because the 16 was the first thing we did, right? While you finish up the 8s, I want to show you the file that is sort of like used as a reference, well, it's the construction on the AutoCAD that I was talking to you guys about. Here we go. So these white lines, well, this one, ignore this. This is, yeah, ignore that one. Let me just take it away so you don't have to do any extra. That's not it. This one goes away. Gone. Okay. So white lines, 16-fold and 8-fold divisions, right? Red lines, pattern. So these red lines are going to inform the pattern that we got. which is here. So this is what we're looking for. These are all the lines, as extended as they may be. So notice how the star isn't at the intersection of white lines. Not here, not here, and not here. Not nowhere. However, what I did find, where is it? There we go. So this white line that we have here, I'm going to extend it so it doesn't look weird. I'm going to change the color of this as well. So this is a fold. It's red now, blue. Blue doesn't work that well. How about yellow? So notice how this fold is actually relating to an intersection right here. So that intersection has to do, we need another line, this line. So we're missing still one more thing, just one more thing, and we're gonna get it. And so it's where this fold relates to this fold, it's these two. And at this intersection, that's where this fold is gonna be at. So as you can see, we're just pretty much pulling in this edge. So this corner, one of the 16 corners, falls on itself and lands where these two intersect. So one of them is 16 and one of them is an 8 at this corner. So we're still missing this fold. Stop the screen sharing for a bit. Add that one more line. So we have the 16s, which now that I'm realizing could use this line, because we might as well, we're putting everything else in. So the line we're missing is the 8 fold at one of these corners. We just need one, really. So I'm just going to take this one at the 8th and I'm going to put it down like there. And there are several relationships that actually match to the 8-fold division that we're working with. It's here, it's over there, crosses, falls on the corner, etc. And so the intersection that we care about is where this fold matches the first 16. Wait, sorry. So there. An 8-fold cut at here, 16 cut there. So once we have that point, we're going to take this corner, going to put it on the center line, and we're going to slide it, slide, until it hits that point.
Sorry, Ricardo, could you just go back to where those two intersection point was?
It's at this 8-fold division at this corner.
Yeah, I got that.
And the first 16. So there's the slimmest 16 where those two match.
Slimmest 16.
Yeah, the first 16. So this is like the first.
Oh, I think I've done it in the wrong place then.
Well, you could do it on any of the corners that doesn't have a 16-fold division in. Because we have these two corners up in here that these two are 16s.
I did it the wrong way around, yeah. Okay.
And you could do it on this side as well, or this side. So any of these 4 could work. I'm doing it up in here just because, or just because.
So can I just, will you just repeat that fold again?
Yeah.
That one, where was that? That just takes it to the center.
Yeah.
Okay, let me just redo that one.
And you're actually going to see that it's very symmetrical to the whole division. So it hits there, falls over here, falls on this division as well. So it's very much in tune, but we only really care about this point.
So it's Oh, yeah. Okay, I've got that.
All right,
Thank
cool.
you.
Now, something I'm realizing now is that this line is actually part of the pattern. What that means is we're going to turn the paper over, because so the pattern lines are going to be on one side, and then the radial lines are going to be on the other. So that pretty much completes the radial line division. So the rest of the folds should all fall on the other side. Now it might be a little daunting because I just took away the reference lines, right? You don't see that no more. So I'm just going to do the fold on this side in order for you guys to see the point. But what I really want you to do is to do this on the other side. So, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put that point myself on the other side. So it should be there.
So which fold is this now? Sorry, I just had to...
So this fold is falling on itself on this center line.
So is this, have we found that intersection and put it on the reverse side as well?
Yeah, I put it on the reverse side just so I can see it when I fold it. Because since this line is part of the pattern, I need it to be on the other side of my paper.
Okay, so I've turned it over and then lift it up to...
Yeah, it's going to be a slider fold. So that means that you're going to sort of put this corner on this line, and you're going to slide it until you get to this point, this intersection.
Yeah. So you've got Rihanna and Azir in your...
Everybody got there?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
I found it helpful to do the other 8 folds also, just so I have multiple points
so you have 2
to line up.
Yeah, 1 point ain't enough.
I don't like just having 1 point.
So yeah, pay attention, kids. Get both points in. It's a good idea. But I'm gonna stick with mine because I trust this line falling on itself. That's good enough for me. But you know, this is why I make mistakes. But hey, it's my style, right? So we're gonna leave this folded as it is. We have this little square here. I don't know if you drew in your radial lines, but you should have a line, some lines that just look like a little square cross. I'm just gonna draw in a little bit more of this intersection in order for you to see the cross I'm talking about. Like that. You see that cross? So you're going to start by folding one of the crosses like this. And so notice what I did. I'm folding on this cross line, and then I'm descending on this side through the fold that goes through the center. You see that? How that's the center? See, we already have that fold, and then the fold we don't have is this one. And we return to here. And we repeat on the other side. So what that has done is that it has divided, it has made up the channel. So now we have the channel. We have one. Now we just need to extend this line all the way.
That's the width. That's the width of the channels.
Yep.
Wow.
Extend that line. So I extend one. Extend the other. So let me know if this wasn't clear, guys. This is the crux. So anybody that doesn't feel it was clear, unmute yourself and go like, hey, wait. Do that again. Feel free, feel free. Now's the time. Speak now or forever hold your peace, right?
I'm gonna ask you to do it again on their behalf.
Good. So here's what
I
I'm gonna do.
I don't need to do, but just in case.
Yeah. So here's what I'm gonna do. I have this fold, and so I did it on this side already. So just to keep it, you know, within whatever what we're doing. So we need the same thing on this side as well. So in order for me to bring this fold up to here, instead of doing the eightfold division again, I'm going to fold like this with the half line, sort of pleat it, and that way I can just bring that corner down towards the same point and therefore copy it. Okay, so I have the fold copied on the other side, and so what I do is I have my cross. It should be in a valley, right? These two are going to be opposites.
Sorry, I had to nip out then. So how do I get to the other side again? So sorry.
That's fine. No, we're pretty much just using this division here as our reference. So because this line is going through the middle, if we have one fold and then we do the other fold, we pretty much just find where this line could be.
Drop it over, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, got it.
Once we have that, I'm going to repeat the same fold, the channel fold. So we have the cross, and we fold the cross onto it. This fold we already got over here. This is the fold that goes to the center, which completes this line, rather. So this line that goes through here, this cross, if we extend it, it's the same line. It's the line that goes to the center. Now, this mirror trick, what it does is like, see, it makes one line be a valley and then changes at the intersection into a mountain. So when we use this line and we raise it like this, what it's doing is that it's changing at this intersection into a mountain. Now, don't try to figure this out. Like you're gonna hurt your brain. Like I'm doing it all the time, and still it takes me like a lot of effort. So it's a matter.
Sorry, can I just take you back to those crosses again?
Yeah.
To get the second, I know we just did it.
Mm-hmm.
But it
oh yeah, I just did it on one, so now I'm going to do it on the other.
Yeah. So let me hold. Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh yes. I still had the other bit folded in. That's why it wasn't.
Oh yeah, no, don't. No, this has to be free.
Yeah. So I'll lift that back up.
So you shouldn't feel when you fold this line here, the one that goes to the center, you shouldn't feel that it's a new fold. When you fold it, you should feel that it's pretty much just like something that's already there. What you don't have is this though. So this is what we're folding in, and as you can see, it's actually matching to this bottom layer over there. And so the reason why I already have it is because, well, I extended it. Now I'm going to draw this in with pencil. Of course, you know, the pattern is going to require me to erase some of these lines, but I'm going to draw all of them in just for right now, just so we can see what's happening. But, you know, the pattern does not have these lines go all the way. Of course not. But We want to be clear, right? We don't want to get lost in the woods now. And we've only just begun. To live. Yeah. So now the rest of the thing it's about is trying to find this channel, but now we want to sort of shoot it outwards towards this eightfold center, but it's like the same width. We want to shoot it out though. So we're going to use some mirror tricks. So here's how that's going to go. First, extend your channels. First, get these two lines completely, just as I've got them. So make sure that it's actually going all the way through, both of them. Everybody got that? Your silence is agreeing, okay? So when I fold it, the first intersection, that's going to be my big clue. Here, right here, this line that goes here, that's incomplete, this one. Everybody see that one? This one that I have my pencil over. So again, look, there's going to be two of them too. There's one that goes down here and one that goes down here, right? The first little carp there. Second one, not so much, the first one. So here's what I'm going to do, same trick. I'm going to apply this, it's going to bulge, right? I'm going to bulge. This is bulging, this is 3D. Now let's make it 2D. Now we fold back. Now this folder right here is going to go all the way down to the corner. And this fold that we don't have, this is going to fall on itself. Now, because of the nature of these things, this one is going to fall on the line. Now, I used to think that when I did these sorts of divisions or like subtractions of it, that it was like, oh, it's so beautiful the way it falls. And it turns out that it could be any width and it would do the same thing. So maybe like these things matching is not that special, quote unquote. I mean, it's special because it helps us define that it's equal, but not it's special in that it has significance beyond that, maybe, perhaps. There are some other relevant things, but for right now, everybody see what I did though?
Yeah.
So with this first line that hits there, I folded it down and it looks like this. And once it's complete, it's easier to see the mechanic of it. It's shifting also from this line that goes and it's shifting towards the line that actually hits my corner. So now what I can do is I can sort of repeat the process over here. But you know what? Let's not do that just yet. Let's take it easy. So before we do anything else, we want to repeat this on the other one. So we did it for one side, now we do the other side as well. So one turns 3D. Bring it down from the 3D-ness into normal land, into shadow land. I don't know if you're familiar with this, like this cult in Los Angeles. It's about this dude who like uses this shape that has 16 faces and has his like people going to a lake.
Can I ask you to do the two again? I think I got my first one, but I'm not 100% sure.
Well, the second one is just pretty much an extension of the same. So it's, yeah, the first line here hits. Yeah. This is what we bring down. It becomes 3D. And then we come down from the 3D into the 2D. And this fold should hit the corner. And this fold should fall on itself. And well, these are going to be extended as well.
And then what? That's just opening it out and
yeah, I mean, pretty much extending. Yeah, extending. So I unfold and I just complete that line, just make it go all the way. So I'm going to draw this in as well. Again, I'm going to have to erase naturally because this is not part of the full pattern. Now I'm going to also anticipate some things. So, you know, for right now, I'm just going to keep it simple, keep it real simple. Oof, that was a good sigh.
Sorry, I put it on mute.
No. I like the size. It makes me feel that, you know, something's happening. You're actually making an effort. The hands and the brain are doing the work. So we're pretty much like doing mirrors, but we don't have to do it. We don't have to do all the mirrors, but we can do one that's very special, that's very important. So we're gonna do the same thing. Well, here's the detail. So this calle, this street, is halfway, right? We have the line that goes. So we have that line, and from the center, we need the same distance outward. So we can take advantage that we have these to be separate folds, right? We can pleat them. So we have this channel, we fold it, and then we have this 8-fold line that we have that's parallel, and we fold that one, and now we come downwards, and we sort of match it to itself. But because of what I was telling you about, you can see that this line is going to fall on itself, on the center there. Now that's not, what I found is that this is not actually a clue to the big pattern, like, oh, it falls on the center, it's significant. We could change the width of this to any width, and it would still produce this. It would still match the center because we're taking away the same amount, and it's relative to this line that goes to the center there. We folded that, it falls there. So it stands to reason that if whatever is, just as long as we are, so we have an equidistant amount from both, an offset, an equal offset on both sides from this line, then it matches, then it stands to reason that it's going to fall on itself like that. So what this does is that it completes this channel. Right? But because we did it on the other side as well, we can also do that one.
Slow down there.
Oh yeah.
So I've done that one, and then where am I taking the other one? So I've got that one.
You did this one, right?
Yeah, I've got that. Yeah.
So now we do it on the other side as well. So for this other one, I do it and I'm still missing the compensation of it.
Oh.
So same thing with the channel, just on the other side.
Oh yeah.
So okay, now we have 2 channels. It goes here. Well, we have 1, 2, and 3 channels so far. I'm counting this as 1. Counting this as 2 and 3. And so we have that. We can just find it on the other side. But we can. So there's several ways that we can figure this out. We can do the same thing where we do this one. We have the smaller divisions. Oh, when fussy there. Have the smaller divisions and we repeat. We know one way, then the other. That's one way. And it works just as well. But we can also take advantage of the channel itself, the one we already solved for. And what I mean by that is we can mirror this. So we can copy this on the other side using this parallel line. No, that's parallel, not this this diagonal line. Because it's going to be, so when we do the same channel over here, this is going to be the intersection of it. Because these both sides are equal, right? And this is the mirror line. This is the line that divides it bilaterally. So that could be another solution where we can anticipate that intersection and do the mirror trick on there. Now this is not to confuse you, just to show you that there are many mirrors and many ways that we can bounce the light around. I'm just gonna do this once for this one, and then I'm gonna go back and do it the other way, just to keep things consistent. But I wanted to show you that there are many solutions.
Yeah, let's see. I'll go back to. So I've got a really good plan.
So one of the things also to take into account is that when you do these channels, there are going to be some lines that need to be falling on themselves. Like for instance, this one has to fall on itself, this one has to fall on itself, so there's this one. No, this one doesn't, this one, yeah.
Wow, that looks lovely in that corner.
So yeah, gonna go back, gonna fold this channel first, and then we're gonna do the same thing that we did before. And so you can see how the fold I just did also solves for this one, because this is the one I just extended. So it just goes to show, you know, there's many ways to do the same thing. Well, especially with this sort of design where we're always sort of coming back to the unfold. We fold and then we unfold, we fold and then we unfold. Usually in origami, well, there are some designs that do this, the unfold and then refold, but they usually have a payoff. Like they have this thing where at one point you must sort of leave it collapsed and just take it from there. So sort of fold within the world that you're folding, continue the design. But in here, because of the nature of what we're designing, because we're using the folds as a tool.
Can you talk through that final one? I know this is the 4th time, but I'm still.
Yeah, so
I've
pretty
got
much,
the third
so
one, so-
what we're doing is we have the center channel.
Yeah.
And so what we're doing is mirroring it around the 16 folds at these 2 corners. So what that means is that when we fold one of the channel lines, we have the intersection. So we have the line that goes through the channel, see? So at this intersection, so where this line hits the channel is where the other channel is going to come through. So when we fold that in, because we're also taking advantage that we have all the radial lines in one way, we can use this. It's going to naturally fall this way, that you can do this move. Although I must admit, it's this line that we don't have. So when you do it, it's going to more look like this. So when you do it, it's going to look like this. It's going to become 3D over here. It's going to bulge. And then what you need to do is you got to bring it down. And so this line that's folded here is the same line. This is the same line. It just changes states. It just goes from valley to mountain. But it's such a small portion of it that it, you know, it's trivial. We lose it. Or rather, you know, maybe not trivial, but it's fine. So 1, 2, and then I'm going to use the center line of the 8th fold. And then I'm going to match it there. I'm just going to draw these in real quick. Everybody got it to this point? We got 4 channels now, 5 channels now. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So what we're just missing now are the line is half the channel that goes outwards on the frame. So we need the frame channel now. Now, several people have told me that apparently that this is a very Moorish tradition. Maybe the Moroccans have more of a thing where they actually have the pattern sort of be outside of the frame, so like they'll actually complete the petal shapes. I don't know why. I mean, it makes more sense in this way for tessellation, but I also get it in that other way, you sort of hide more that it's a tessellation. So maybe I get it, but for our purposes. So see, what we're going to do now is going to repeat the same process. We're going to do the same thing we did for this channel. We're going to do it on this other one, the 1.5 frame. So we're going to take the outer edge of the channel we just built. Yeah, this one. And we're going to see there's another 16 line that goes in. And it's incomplete. It hits there at this point, this intersection. So that line is the middle line, is the line that goes. It's going to be the intersection. So when I fold it, I make sure that I go all the way to this little point there. And then I bring it back down. Now this one is the harder one because it's going to be the slimmer line, but yes.
Just mine extends a bit further down.
This line?
Yeah, it goes. Maybe I've just folded it incorrectly. Okay, anyway.
Yeah, whatever you got, whatever you got. So
yeah,
I guess the risk of using this method is that we're sort of bound by our process. So what I mean is that if along the way we make a mistake in the width of the channel, that mistake is going to compound each time. So, you know,
maybe
it's part of the
it's
job.
right. So what did you do with that once you go back to the step that you just,
Yeah, so I take the outer edge of the channel. One's going to connect to the other one.
Yeah.
I fold that in, and then I have the 16 fold line that goes there that hits, like it's very near the end, like I just have a little bit.
Oh, maybe it is okay, yeah.
And then I fold that line in where it hits, and I just take it down. So I make sure that it's at the point, and then at the point, I do the same mirror trick where I fold and I match to the walls.
Oh, I thought it was to get the boundary. Oh, it is to get the boundary.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, it is, okay.
It just looks this way right now because we're mirroring. So this is like the evidence of the mirror because it's actually hitting at the corner. So then we can undo that fold and then we can just extend this line, right? Because we don't have this fold line, so we extend it.
Just a question. I have to get going. Would it be possible to get a recording of?
Yes, I will actually upload this one. We have no technical difficulty so far. It's been a straight video, so I will upload this to YouTube and send it to you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a nice day. Nice night.
Thank you. You too.
Shashi says this is difficult. And, you know, maybe it is. But it's only because of this, like, constant mirroring that we have to do. Because
did that boundary go through those intersections, the one that's
this one
vertical? Yeah. Has that gone through several intersections? Other radial lines and...
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it has, okay.
It actually matches to that one, right?
Okay.
So that should also be like a takeaway. It's going to be matching to the rest of the channel now. And so again, we have several options for this one. We can repeat the same thing using this outer wall, or we can use the diagonals to mirror this around. So we're pretty much just like bound to this mirror thing. Like this mirror trick is the cornerstone of this Islamic origami design. The mirror is just where it's at. And to me, that just really fits nicely in with even with the Islamic, I don't want to say the tradition of it, but the idea of it, that it's, you know, it's a consequence of the Islamic illumination, you know what I'm saying? how this, you know, could be a metaphor for light, and folds actually are, you know, they could be understood as light. So here is this line, and I wanted to bounce at this radial line. You see, you can see that it's incomplete. And this is in order to make it go frame. So so this line hits there, and if I bounce it, it's gonna give me, when it comes down here, and I'm gonna bounce it over here and gonna come down, bounce it over here and gonna come down and close. So this is in order to draw in the frame. So this is one way of doing it. I prefer to use this for the frame, but you can also repeat the process where we have the outer channel and then we do that. But yeah, no, maybe it is a little rather difficult. This could be maybe intermediate level folding. I would never, you know, accuse myself of doing something complex, because I've seen what the origami people do with, and that they call complex, and this is nothing. No, maybe it's not nothing. Maybe, you know, a lot of the origami people would probably be confused, because we're always unfolding and refolding and coming back. So you got to be able to keep track of all the lines you're doing. So that might be also part of the difficulty of it.
I'm really curious what the regular origami people how they would feel about this.
Yeah. You and me both. So see, now I did the mirror trick, but now I have to sort of fix it, because I see that it's not going through the lines that I want it to go through. So you might think that the mirror trick is a little bit of a jip, of a gimmick. And you know what? It sort of is. But it doesn't matter, because we can fix things. We can arrange them and they still look nice. But so what I want to do is actually want to go through this fold here. So it's nice that I have my radial lines drawn in. So actually so if you haven't drawn in your radial lines, you can still draw in your radial lines. So use those as a reference, because they have to always guide you. Those are the lines that are going to bring you to shore. And this is what I mean by intersecting. So I wanted to make sure that these two lines are touching, but that they're touching at this middle line. So when I fold it, I should actually be able to see that there's an intersection there with this one. No, it's over there. It's over here. I don't know if where you live people are doing this, but when somebody has a birthday, people will drive out of the house and start honking. It's a way of saying happy birthday. It's the worst
They don't do that
idea
here.
ever. I hate it.
Well, you never hear car horns here.
Oh no?
Nope.
I mean,
Rarely.
You mean on this recording or on the?
No,
or
as in outdoors. You know, you were just saying people honk their horns, whatever. You never hear anybody doing that here in
Oh no?
England.
Oh, I'm so jealous.
People do the drive-by honking thing here too. It's for everything. Like that's the new birthday party. That's like the new baby shower. That's the new everything is a drive-by.
Yes, people got a people, right?
It's the usual one. The pre-commencement clinicians still going to be.
So something I like about this method of folding is that it relies on a system of observations. So it requires you to sort of process and understand what you're doing at all times. and be guided. And so the principles behind it are pretty much, you know, relative to your perception. So if you see so you have to be on the lookout for the mirrors and where it bounces. And I know it might be a little abstract and it can sound weird, but I guess the fact that it works is what, you know, keeps it afloat. But it also, you know, it could be a lesson in optics, I suppose, a very basic non-lesson in optics. Just that, you know, you're just looking out for bounces and matching lights and just these straight lines that are repeating at the angles and whatnot. Repeating at the angles, not just bouncing at the same angles. Yeah, so there, for instance. Yeah, but it's like a new way of thinking. So if any of you are well versed, and I know that some of you are, with the Islamic or Islamic geometry with compass and straight edge, you know, I believe that this could inform your ability to perform and understand that, because yeah, I've told you this before. You know, stop me if you've heard this one, or don't. I don't know, or whatever. Point is that the first designs that I folded, I didn't go like through tutorials of somebody folding, or somebody drawing this in with a compass and me sort of translating. I would just look at the drawing already done, like just at the drawing done, but with the circles drawn in. Like somebody, you know, like they sometimes leave the process, or sometimes they leave the circles of the pattern in. Just using those, I sort of figured out using those. So it's interesting how that could be enough information for a folder to use to crack a pattern and not necessarily go through how those were constructed. So maybe it works backwards, right? Maybe if that helped me understand, maybe it'll help people that do it that way understand also something about their way. Maybe. Yeah, so here I'm actually just making sure that the lines are matching with the intersections and whatnot. And, you know, maybe there is that bias of perfection, of wanting something to look the best that it can look, and I understand it. But, you know, if it's your first time, it's bound to not be as good as you think. I mean, I don't know, I've done this 1,000 times, like this Islamic origami idea, and I still sometimes not find it to be perfect. All right, so at this stage, what we've done is we've completed the channels on the 16 folds. So right now, all I did was just sort of bounce around on the outer one. So we could have done it instead of using it like I did with this one and then bounce it out with this little slit. We could have done the channel mirror. So I right now I just use the fact that we're on a square and just bounce it off of that because I find it easier sometimes because it has to match at this point and this point. So there are several points that I can look out for that it's going to match. And I find it to be easier, but perhaps, you know, it might not be for you, and that's fine. Everybody has their own way of looking at it, and that's like the point. But okay, I'm gonna wait for everybody to get to this section of the pattern. We're almost done. Like we pretty much just, we only need to put the channels on the 8 folds, just complete the rosette of it, and that's it. And we're already halfway through the channel on the 8. So, you know, it's, and one of the channels connects to the other one. So, you know, we're even closer. So I'm gonna give you just a minute. And it's gonna be the pause for now. Yeah, no, that's the lesson. Don't stop recording. Okay, so what I just did, was another way of describing the same process, but instead of breaking it down into separate parts, we just do it in one simple, just one, two, like a streamline thing. So here's how that works. So let's say that we have the middle channel done in. And then we want to, so this line of the channel, this left line will inform the left side. And this right side of the channel will inform the right side. So here's what I mean. I'm going to do this left side first. I'm going to repeat this using this middle line as my mirror. So that goes 1. It bulges it makes it 3D. And then I bring it down like so. I'm mirroring it pretty much, you know. But instead of unfolding and doing the next one, I keep it like this. I fold through the middle. I copy on the back to make the channel actually. Bop, bop. And then now I have a new radial line happening. So what could even be useful is to do a sequence of radial line divisions like on this side and mark them in different colors. So this one could be like a blue and then red and blue and red and blue. Because you can see there's always like the sequence of one then the other of channel, no channel, channel, no channel, channel, right? So these lines could inform us as to what kind of fold we're doing as we are doing this mirror trick. So let's see that we go for this one. And then we could see here that would be like, oh, this is a blue one. And that means that this one is not a channel. And then we do the mirror and then we see that there's a red one. Oh, this is a channel. And we fold it like that, right? We want to make it a channel, not a channel. Bump, mirror, boom, and then we bring it down. And then that's the way we finish, right? Now we have the fan of it. So that will be a way to sort of streamline it, if you will, of just bouncing off the process of making it to a single sort of step, or a single sort of sequence. But the way we did it before was a little bit different. We were just like doing one and then doing the other to inform the other. So this might be even a little bit more in the origami way, where things are actually compounding. And so we don't have to unfold so much. We can just do it as a single thing. We get this sort of fan arrangement. So is everybody up to here with the channels? Everybody got their channels in?
The channels of the 16.
Yeah, the channels of the 16.
Okay. Yeah.
Is how it would look if I were to fold all of them.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny because as I open it, you can even see that the camera is sort of like, oh, so much light. I guess because it's sort of making the reflection change so much that it sort of confuses the camera a little bit. And if I kept these being mountains, well, at least on the side of the pattern, right, they'd be mountains. Because I changed them in order to do that collapse before, but if I didn't change them, I could do it like this. Now we're just missing one. We're missing the line that goes from here outwards, and then this could be a good moment to sort of put that in. So last class we had a technical difficulty with the camera, crashed, and also it turns out that I was teaching you the wrong pattern. So, and just for the sake of keeping track of it, you know, I will upload it, but you know, keep in mind that that is not the correct way of doing it. So everybody up to date on this so far? It's also fun that I discovered while folding this again was that even the line that is not a channel and the line that is are staying in the same state. Like these lines are mountains, all of them. So they don't go one then the other one. They don't, except here on the star, they do. But only at the center star. Everything else is just the same. So that's why also the radial lines could be just done in the same state, and then at the end it's like an afterthought. So it works really nice to the theory of using the mirror lines, because then if all the radial lines are in the same state, then any line that we put in as a potential line for a pattern will sort of be able to be bounced around. So now let's take, for instance, this center here. Now I want to bounce the eightfold around. Let's see now. I'm going to join a little bit more of the pattern, just not of the pattern, but rather of the eightfold, which is going to be part of the pattern. Now that I look at it. All right. So this eightfold is pretty much like several squares, right? So there's going to be lines that are going to be matching, for instance, in order to complete an octagon. So let's take now. You can even see. Now maybe this is the harder part, because we want to do a bounce of an octagon there. Do you see the octagon that I'm marking? So now this line is going to be a bounce off of this line. So this line fold is going to be bounced off at this radial line. You kind of see what I mean? So I'm gonna fold that, turn it over. And then here I can see a little bit better what line is going to be needed. So for instance, here, I already have this one, and now I want it to go down that way. So I can use this line. Oh. So I'm gonna just backtrack a little bit. So we want to do the mirror trick, what we just did, but on the eightfold. So now we're not at the corner, we're at the center of our paper, sort of. We're inside the universe. But we still want to mirror things. We want to mirror in order to complete this star. So there's several lines that we could use in order to do that. Some are noticing that there's a central octagon that we need to complete. Others are how we have to complete a star. So for instance, this line over here, you know what I mean? It has to bounce off of this radial line up. So for instance, this one here, I'm gonna just fold it, it's part of the channels, right? And now it needs a complement. So this line, this center line that goes here, through the center of the octagon, I mean, we can use that in order to mirror it. So I might just have to do like a whole series of videos on the mirror trick, because it's just crucial to making an Islamic pattern with folding. And I think it's even crucial to the understanding of Islamic patterns, maybe, perhaps. Maybe not, because we can just use circles and that's good enough. Circles could be like, you could think of them as bubbles, I suppose. Just light comes in, diffracts, bounces off. And we can, as I mirror that one, I can just extend it. You can see how I'm also completing a square. Maybe that's a little bit too far-fetched. Like, yeah, you can see I'm just completing a square, but you know, it is there. And as I extend that one, I can also see several other relationships come about. So for instance, now I have to complete this star up in here. Now remember that we're not going to go through the intersection of the 16 fold, so it's okay if you like eat a little bit out of it. So each line you do of these can also be used to inform the others. Now here all I'm doing is just using the different lines of the channel just to sort of connect and bounce around. So again, I'm minding the intersections. That's the most important thing, are the intersections. So just make sure that when you're drawing in the stars, they intersect. Now I am doing a lot of course correcting, but that's only because I want my star to be accurate as I can make it. So one of the giveaways is that it's not going to hit the radial lines of the 16. So if I'm missing the radial lines to the 16, that's a good sign. So now I'm going to use the trick of using this radial line over here. Thank you, Shamina. Shamina says she's going to leave. So did Richard. I'll catch up on the recording. I'll probably just put this on the Discord, just like fully. So again, I gotta make sure that I don't hit any of the radial lines. If I'm hitting a radial line, that probably means I'm wrong. Although, I am finding that actually one of these lines, well, that was the mistake before, right? That I was like, yeah, that's a landing site. Maybe it is though. Maybe that is, well, maybe it's a little bit off. Hard to say. I have to put that to the test on the AutoCAD, see what comes up. Yeah, because I didn't try all the folds. Like I didn't do all the folds to see which ones were matching where. I just did several. I was like, yeah, those are the ones that I need. Afterwards, I'll just bounce them off, I thought. And so far, it's working. So I'm just missing one more. Now, admittedly, I think that this 8s are the more difficult channels to put in, but once you get them, the rest of the thing just comes together. So it is worth to, if you're a little bit off, it is worth to sort of go back or try to like pivot it and push it around. So even though that you might miss, it's good to sort of commit. Because you can commit, you can fold really strongly, and then if you're missing, you just sort of, twiddle it around. Like for instance, this right here. See how I missed that? See how this is not going through the intersection? And so that way I can just change that up and make sure that it goes through the intersection I need. I know you're thinking like, well, if I did the mirror, like why should the mirror be wrong? And the answer is, I don't know. But sometimes it is a little bit off. So again, like I'm more trusting and I have more faith on the radial lines than on the mirror. Because the radial lines are where it's at, because that's where the whole pattern is sort of teaching, like it's sort of matching and connecting with each other. So I try to abide more by that. So I just make sure that the lines are going through my intersections, like everything's matching, and then those are my channels. Now the big difference between this and the Islamic folding, like the Islamic folding, the doing it with compass and straight edge is that, you know, this is quite messy. I think it's one of the bigger differences. But, you know, on the plus side of it, you get a more hands-on approach. So I'm just gonna erase these radial lines. Well, sorry. I'm just gonna erase some of the lines just to, because I know that they're not gonna be useful. Like I want just the star, not the full star, just the center octagram, the petals. And so I think it's better to like be messy and get a nice result and then use that to reference, you know, you can use that for tracing paper or something else. But I think it's better. I think it's better to try and get it as right as we can at any cost. So I'm looking at it. I'm just going to make sure that no radial line connects. Good. Seems that no radial line connects. I don't know what this line is though. Oh yeah, it's the eightfold. It might match to that. No, it's a little bit, but it's a little bit there, a little bit isn't there. But we don't want it to. So
What are you trying to find?
Oh, nothing, just to prove that it's not going through any intersections of so the 16. So if I fold the 16, you can see I'm biting off the star a little bit. And at this corner, it's not matching. That's good. That means it's right. This star will not hit the intersection of the 16. Neither will it here. Neither will it here. So there's no radial line of the 16 that connects to the star itself. So just to prove that, just looking around, just going around to prove that. We do have this line this is the line that we started with. And this is, now we have our first petal. So because the petal is inside of an octagon itself, we can then sort of repeat this process on the eightfold star, on the eightfold that we have here, this line, just in order to complete the rosette. So I mean that I can fold this, I'm gonna keep an eye out, I'm gonna turn it over. I'm gonna turn it over because it's easier for me to see and it's easier for me to fold. But now, just to show you, so this is what we have already. So now it goes outwards where this one hits. So now where this one hits, which is its complement, remember to breathe. So see, we're still using the mirror trick, the bouncing trick. And it's just a matter of finding where things needs to match up because the petals have bilateral symmetry and we already had one. We had this line already. We can use the mirror lines that go through the star in order to bounce it around where we need it to bounce. So for instance, next bounce is going to be here, right? Because this is where this is where it hits my radial division, my eightfold division, which I'm seeing that now I'm a little bit off there. Yes, it's good enough. You can see there. Now, a thing to take into account with the mirror lines, I will have to do a video today on it, because it is the most important concept. I mean, we keep using that tool over and over again. It's really just like if you're equipped to the mirror, then it's just a matter of me telling you which lines we're going to mirror. But if you don't know the mirror, it's a little difficult to maybe convey or perhaps understand fully how that's significant and very important. So the reason why I turn it over twice is because I can't see on the other side where this is falling. So I just turn it over so I can see that it's matching, right? That it's falling, because I want it to be perpendicular. I feel there's a point in classes every now and again where maybe I went a little too fast or went a little too deep, too much, and I think that this is that moment. Feel it. But at least we're getting our stars. We're getting our petals. We're getting that this line is not there. That's part of the little arm. So is this. So this is all thanks to the bouncing that we're able to sort of get this so effectively, so quickly. And although it is a challenge, it is something that can be practiced, I mean, through several methods of folding. Because all you really need is just some lines to be one way and then the other lines to be the other. I say it and it sounds like a little bit reductive maybe. But see, I'm only done with this one. Oh man, I was way off on the camera there. Yeah, so it was here. Now we have to do the next fold over here. And these rosettes that we're doing actually are gonna work as one of those crosses on the channel. Now again, several ways to get the same thing. So because I have it on one side, something I can do is have the channel. So instead of like bouncing it off of the center, which may be the better option, I can also bounce it off of this channel that's coming in and bounce it on this radial line. Option 1, option 2. I'm gonna go with what we started with. I'm gonna go with the mirrors on the actual eightfold. I'm not gonna bounce it from the other one and keep it local. I am finding that it's very useful to have the radial lines drawn in. Very useful indeed. Because then I can see that when it's intersecting, when it's not, when I have to give a little more, when I have to take away at it. So definitely recommend it. Now again, I'm making sure that everything is sort of matching nicely to the radial lines. That's going to be my guiding principle. And of course, like to each other, because they have to intersect at the radial lines. So if I have a channel, for instance, what I'm matching here is where the channel touches that radial line. So it's interesting that now that I'm folding it with a little more practice to it, I'm sort of finding certain relationships. And now I'm very curious to see if they actually are what I think they are, or if they're a little bit off and it's just like a consequence of, an accident. Just the fact that paper has the 3D element, or maybe that my eyes can't zoom in as much. But it's really fascinating when something could just as well not land or not match, but it does. That's a lot of what sometimes these patterns depend on. So for instance, the cornerstone of our design, this line that we have here that matches with the radial lines, it's interesting. It's interesting that it works the way it does. So in my case, right now, I see that I'm done with the 8 folds at this one as well. So just as this one, I'm done here with the channels. So let me just put those in. So again, I'm stopping. So when I'm drawing these in, I'm stopping at this radial line because, well, maybe I am a little bit ahead, but you know what? I'm going to draw it as much. No, not as much. I'm going to draw it a little bit. And I'm going to erase it. But the fact is that some of these lines actually do extend a little bit further than maybe I give them credit for. You know what they say, right? Like good things take time. So maybe all this thing is just a lesson in time management. Maybe that's a little presumptuous of me. So it seems to me that what I'm really missing, besides, I like also marking partially because you get to see different shapes on the stars. That's a lot of fun.
I just finished it.
Oh,
It's
did you?
nice. Yeah.
Let's see it. Let's see.
I mean, the light's not great, and I didn't draw my lines super dark or anything.
Yeah, but that's it. All right. Nice.
I'm gonna eat while you guys finish it. Let me know if you want me to check anything on my pattern.
I don't know. You got to get your food in, get your nutrition going. So all I'm really missing is just the rosette of the 8, and that should do it for me. How's everybody else doing? Everybody got their stuff? Now again, I'm just making sure that my lines are going through the proper intersections. And if not, well, I can always course correct. I can always put things to match where I need them to. So we're really doing this like in no particular order. Well, I'm just doing it in the order that comes natural to me, but you know, there are several lines that are accessible from the very beginning. Several channels or lines, or like the rosette is accessible from the very beginning. Because you can just bounce the first line that we did, or one of the first channels, and just bounce it off of the 8-fold like so. So, you know, that's one thing. That'll give us like the center square, that little square that goes to the center. That's how you can get it. Now the fact is that paper folding is a 3D endeavor. And so what that means is that we're sort of bound, or we are, I don't want to say cursed, but whatever. So there are certain mistakes that are bound to happen because we're working in 3D space. So the way I think about 3D and 2D is that 2D, all right, so there's just like, all right, I remember now why I was talking about that cult in Los Angeles. So like this, the whole like thing behind that cult is like, they're lying to you, like a lot of all the other cults, right? It's like, they're lying to you, man. It's like reality is much more. It's like, all right, sure. Like the whole thing is that this guy is suggesting that because two-dimensional space doesn't explain properly all the phenomena of the real world, or rather, the real world, quote unquote, is not flat. So therefore, what we're learning in school and what they're teaching us and all this is just like this doctrine of sort of like half-truths. That's what this guy's saying, right? And so I don't agree with it because, like, to me, the world...
No, the world is not Euclidean. I
Yeah.
agree. The world is not Euclidean.
I agree. No, I agree to that. But, like, what is true is, well, the way I think about it, like, to make it true, is that the flatness are like shadows of the 3D. So if you learn how the flat world works, you're sort of gaining an understanding of how the 3D can work. It's like the tilings, the wallpaper groups. Like these describe the transformation of like these patterns in 2D space. But so they can translate and you can glide them and mirror and whatnot, and they describe all this world. But you can sort of also see that these patterns have like a 3D analog, not all of them. But you can also like understand that, so if you have like a cube in 3D space and it's only the skeleton of the 3D cube, and you rotate around in 3D space, and the mesh that you're sort of getting as a shadow will also change. But if you look exclusively at the shadow, even the transformation of the 3D object rotating, the shadow of it will, conform to the rules of flatness. So it's not completely aligned. Like, even though that the world is not Euclidean, the world is not flat, sure, but like there is, like, you can always take away a dimension to things. And it is like a shame that we sort of deprive ourselves of that other side of reality sometimes. But it's there, accessible at all times. And so, yeah, that's a lot of like the big thing about this guy. But yeah, so the world of flatness and the world of shadows fall in line very naturally. So the world of shadows and the world of flatness are one and the same. And that's just my take on it. Everybody has a right. This guy, made a whole group about it. They're all very happy. They wore necklaces of this stellated, I think it was an stellated, what was it? It was either a stellated icosahedron or a stellated octahedron.
Is this an active cult currently?
Oh, yeah.